Dynamite to light. And this is the show for Jericho. This is his 30 years in the business. Now, for me, it's very ironic and surprising to me because that same year, two things for me. One, I really was the last time I really watched wrestling on a very long period of time. Around 91 to 92, I stopped watching wrestling. Generally speaking. I saw it on and off. Maybe once every month or 2 or 3 months. Maybe once. But generally, I didn't really watch wrestling for almost an entire decade. Constantly. I still was a wrestling fan. I still loved it, but didn't have the time. And the second one was I graduated from high school in 1990 at the age of 19. It was like, and I know people are going to say, wait a minute, 19? Yes, I graduated high school at the age of 19. And most people I knew graduated at 17 or 18, so a few 16, but I graduated at 19. Look, I was in special education. I'm not going to hide that I'm dyslexic, and I'm not going to hide I was learning disabled. I was. I'm dyslexic. I'm not dumb. Smart ass person. But it took longer for me to leave. And I left with a high school diploma. If anybody knows about special ed, you get equivalent. You never get a real diploma. Never. I busted my ass to get a real diploma. I'm one of the few probably New York at 1990 who was in special ed who got a real diploma. So it kind of feels interesting to know that the same year I ended my high school career, he started his wrestling career. And he's had a long one. It really has made things special. I had enough time of talking about my damn self. I feel so ashamed. Sorry, guys. Let's get into the show. Will Hobbs versus the champion of the... I wish they would announce this as a real title. Taz's old title should be announced as a title. And the thing that got me when they were saying this is, and this Taz who was at commentary with Ricky Starks, he said clearly, you know what? This is not a real title. It's never been recognized, but look, they're defending it in here. It's special. I kind of want it as an undercard title. Let it float between Dynamite and Dark. Or Dynamite and the next show they're going to be produced. They're going to have another show coming out eventually. Like SmackDown and Raw. They're going to do their own brand. Another branding next to Dynamite. So I'm hoping it'll wander between both shows. That's what it should do. Was this a good match? You got two really big guys that are very athletic. That didn't sell that much to each other. And they wanted to make this match as good as they could. And I will say, Hobbs is pretty good. But due to the fact either one of them didn't want to sell that much, it kind of messed up the match a little bit. Not saying it was bad, because they kept doing these, constantly trying not to sell to show how tough they are, it kind of took away from the match what it could be. It was supposed to be about the title, that used to be Taz, and trying to put over not only Hobbs, but trying to keep the credibility of Brian Cage. And I think they went a little too far with it, personally. When it was all over and I didn't expect Brian to lose, he didn't. You got Taz standing up and saying, look, Hobb, you did a great job. I'm giving you an offer. Join us or get your ass whooped. Join us. You got something. Or you get your ass whooped. And then you got well, you know what? I would not be surprised if Darby Allin and Will Hobbs become a tag team. I'm not saying I want them to be, but it may come down the line because they're keeping them together so much, eventually they may become a real tag team. You might actually see it. It may actually happen. I'm not saying they should, but they may do it. Now, FTR versus Hybrid 2 or TH2. I think Hybrid 2 sounds better than TH2. That's too many times you shorten things. Sometimes you need to have it long. And this was for the tag titles, and it was under the Brush of Greatness rule. 20 minutes. This was a very high-flying match, but I think when it came to hybrid. They might have botched a couple of times and might have hurt Dawson or Dash a couple of times. Let's be honest. They whacked them a couple of times with their legs. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. Even though they both seem alright, I think that might have got a little hurt a little bit. In the end, FTR won. Then you got a little bit of mistake. I'm being honest here. A bit of a mistake. You got the Young Bucks watching the entire match in the back. There they are in my face. Then when the match was over and they got so pissed because they won the match, they super kicked the cameraman. And instead of keeping that moment, maybe focus on the Bucks a little bit, you go straight into Best Friends, trying to mess with FTR, saying they're wieners, and they got their wonderful wiener suits on. It's in my face. I believe I got that shot. If I don't, I'm sorry, guys. But they're messing with FTR, saying, hey, we're the guys who are next to you, and next week we get our shot. And they did have a little bit of a brawl, but still, why did you rush it? Look, you could have left this for the Young Bucks next week. And they could have done the same thing after Best Friends got beat or won. Basically got beat. We know they're not going to win. But still, you could have waited until next week for the Bucks to super kick that cameraman and have to throw money there saying, oh, damn, we got to pay 10 grand again. You got cash on you? I forgot. He said, don't worry, I got you. They should have waited. That's just me, you guys. Tell me below. We got the best match of the night. Flat out. That is Brody Lee versus Cody Rhodes and his black hair, going after the TNT title in a dog collar match. Now, they actually had Greg the Hammer Valentine. I actually liked Greg when I was a kid a lot. I always thought that he was such a very good mat-based wrestler. I didn't understand mat-based, but I understood that next to Bob Backlund, I liked Greg the Hammer Valentine. My all-time favorite, next to Mr. Bob Backlund, was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It was his gimmick that I loved the most. It wasn't his in-ring work. It was his gimmick of being a barber. Kind of makes you think of Britt Baker being more of a dentist. Please get her to be more like a dentist. Anyway, the match itself was damn good. You got Silva getting his head busted open early. Then you got Cody getting his head busted open early. Then, well, not early, but somewhere near the middle. And then you got Brody getting his head busted open. You know they sliced himself, but I think Brody Lee might have bled a little too much. He was just a crimson mask, and I believe I got that shot in my face. It was bloody. It was a great story. But here's the thing that makes me think. Was it wise the way it ended? Look, when it comes to Cody, he went and did the big show. That's that show that's going to be coming out soon. I guess that's the reason why he had to basically give up the title. He could not defend it while he was filming the big show. He had to give it up, and he gave it to Brody Lee. Now he's back. He gets the title back. Now, is that a bad thing? It depends on how far they're going to go with Cody. Will he turn heel? Especially after that promo he had afterward saying, I know I can become bad and become heelish. I'm not doing that. I love you. I am here because of all of you. He tried to be a babyface. He's staying a babyface. That's obvious. And now next week. No, not next week. Is it next week? I believe it's next week. And he will be defending it against Orange Cassidy. I have no problem going up against Orange Cassidy. But the question is going to be, what is Cody going to be doing sooner or later? Will he job to someone and turn heel? I believe he should be a heel eventually. And lucky bastard got to kiss Brandy so many times. Damn you. Anyway, you got... I know I could be talking about Kenny Omega being upset, being upset, because the tournament is still going to go on, and whoever wins is going up against Moxley after he deals with Lance Archer, or if Lance Archer wins, and then after that. When it comes down to it, I'd rather not speak about it until we know for a fact they're going to have a match against each other. That's Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. They need to face one another. They need to interact. They don't have to punch each other. I just want to see them look at one another and face each other. Hopefully next week they will have that. Until then, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm going to leave it because, yes, they're trying to build up into it, but eventually they must face one another before they get into a ring and face each other. You get my point. The match that I do not agree with because of its ending, not because of how it went. Serena Deeps versus Big Swole. Serena, I always liked her in CM Punk's group. She was always good. I always liked her character. And it's not because she had big boobs at the time. Yes, she had big boobs. I like big boobs. I like any boobs, actually. But it wasn't about that. I liked how she acted when she was in the straight edge society. I thought that she was good. I thought that she was unique, went bald-headed, and she could wrestle. The girl had ability. It wasn't perfect, but she was good. And you see how good she was here. Selena is an amazing wrestler. She's good. She basically covered for Big Swole. Big Swole is not a great wrestler. She's still green. And pretty much Selena was making sure she made her look as good as possible. She made her look like $1 million. She sold her ass off for her. And there's my problem when she lost the match. She has not been ranked. Look, Big Swole is ranked number 2. And Selena, not ranked anything. I truly believe Selena should get a match where she should be winning. I wouldn't mind seeing her in the main title picture. A veteran is needed in the main title picture. Look, I like Shida. I do. I like Nia Rose. I do. I don't hate Big Swole. I want to see Rebel or Reba back in the main title picture. Or at least wrestling full-time if she can. And if you can't have a Rebel, why not Selena Deeps? She is such a good wrestler. We're not having Thunder Rosa for very long, so why not see her? Why not have her in the main title picture? We need her. But that's just me, you guys send below. Finally, the match of the night which had problems. And that is Chris Jericho and the Hager versus Luther, a guy that he's known for many, many years, and Serpentico. Or Serpentor, as I call him. What do we got? It was a good match for a little while until you put Luther and Chris in the same ring at the same time. Two guys that are in their early 50s, basically both tanking. Now, mind you, Chris didn't seem to tank as bad as Luther did. But you're still talking about two guys who can't go like they used to 15 to 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago, they can go, not a problem. But they're early 50s. And even though they still got tank of gas, it gets a little spent faster than normal. It would have been better if Hager worked with Luther. Or Serpentico worked with Chris more. Yes, Chris got tanked pretty good. Luther got tanked pretty good. And to be honest, it didn't look great when they got tanked and they had to pair off against one another. And they're partners. But I will say this. Because of how important this show was. What this meant to Chris. And you got so many people doing video chat. You got Shaq saying something. Chris's own dad, I didn't get a shot of him. Chris's own dad congratulated him and said he loved him and he was proud of him. You got so many people pretty much saying you done well. Even the ones in the music industry were coming out saying something because he is Fonzie. He does Fonzie. There's no way you can hide that. It was good to see it. I wasn't surprised he won. Fine. Then you got pretty much MJF coming out right when he was beginning to cut something That would have been substantial. I think he should have gone off character and just say how he truly felt. But they wanted MJF out there to basically act heelish and make himself the key of it, because he said, next week, please, I'm going to be there. Please be there. I'm going to call y'all. I got an announcement. And not only did he say that, he brought out a clown. He gave him a picture of himself, which he easily hit on the head of the clown and knocked him out and said, I hate clowns. So get the hell out of my ring. And played with him, and pretty much there they ended it. And everyone came out to celebrate with him. This was about Chris. That's all this was about. Yes, you got great wrestling. Yes, you also got character development going into the next show. Moxley talking about Lance Archer, dealing with him on the year. Well, we already passed the year when AEW started, but they're celebrating it next week. It's good. This was a good show, but this was still about Chris and what he's contributed to wrestling. Look, guys, I'm trying not to make this over 20 minutes, but look, Chris has given a lot to wrestling. He's wrestled almost everybody. The only place he generally has never wrestled, because he's wrestled in Japan, he's wrestled in Mexico, he's wrestled in Europe, he's wrestled in Saudi Arabia, he's wrestled in Asia, he wrestled for the WWE, WCW, ECW. The only one he's never wrestled for was Impact Wrestling, TNA. That's the only one he never really wrestled for. He never went there. Christian Cage did, Booker T did, Rhino has, RVD has, but Chris has never gone there. I kind of wish he would. I think they would have benefited from him if he had gone there, but I don't think they would have used him correctly. But in the end, this was a good show. It made it about him, and I'm sure people are going to like it. But this is just me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace!